Good morning. And to all the gentlemen in the pews, happy Father's Day. Hey, did everybody see who is back this morning? Trudy. Okay, doctor's order, she can't pick up any more than 10 pounds, so nobody jump in her arms. Okay?
I'm light as a feather.
We are so pleased to see you back. And your flowers. So, you know that she always brings flowers. If you see flowers, Trudy's here. So, hey, you know how some churches kind of, well, actually traditional religion really makes it your duty to be at church, and there's lots of other reasons that they kind of make you go. But I have a good reason to go to the Divine Fellowship for the next few weeks. Cherries. Sandra and William are right in the middle of cherry harvest, and we know they bring big bins of cherries. Problem is, you don't know which Sunday it is. So there. We do have a couple patron saints by the name of George Carlin and John Lennon. And, oh, that was new. Never know what to expect. And the reason these gentlemen are our patron saints is for all kinds of reasons. John was just this wonderful spiritual being that had wonderful, wonderful songs. And in fact, most of the quotes I see here kind of sound like songs to me, so I think they're probably songs. And George, what can you say about George? Irreverent, questions everything, and doesn't take anything as status quo, so perfect for us. Perfect. John, I believe in God, but not as one thing. Not as some old man in the sky. I believe that what people call God is something in all of us. I believe that Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha and all the rest were right. It's just the translations have gone wrong. There's some truth to that. And George, the reason I talk to myself is that I'm the only one whose answers I accept.
Amen to that.
Absolutely amen to that. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Jason Dowd is going to be coming to the Divine Fellowship. Yeah. Nice gentleman. He was at our expo. He was the astrologer. So in the back room, so hopefully you had a chance to get a reading from him. Pretty doggone nice guy. He's going to be coming to the church, actually to the Tri-Cities, next Saturday and Sunday. Information is going to be, we have information in the back, Jan? Got flyers back there? So all the information is going to be, Saturday is going to be at Vibrant Lifestyle. Sunday he will be here. He's going to be doing small readings for a very, very reasonable price. And there's a free class. And if you want to know all the information, call Crystal or Leah, and they're on the paper here. So cool deal. Astrology is one of those fun things that, where's Ruthie? Ruthie's the only person I know other than Jason that does astrology. So. Elder humor. 3 sisters aged 92, 94, 96 live in the same house together. One night the 96-year-old starts a bath. She puts her foot in and pauses. Was I getting in or out of the bath? The 94-old yells back, I don't know, but I'll come up and see. She starts up the stairs and pauses. Am I going upstairs or downstairs? The 92-year-old is sitting at the kitchen table having tea, listening to her sisters, shakes her head and says, I sure hope I never get that forgetful. She knocks on wood for good measure. She then yells to her sisters, I'll come up and help you both as soon as I see who's at the door. Okay. Yeah, I know, that's the bad part. Public service announcement. This is actually, most of you know that amongst everything else I do health insurance and all that. So a lot of what is on here is stuff that I tell my clients, but I don't ever see it in print. So I'm just going to read part of to save money at the doctor's office. Before you book a visit, ask your insurer if the doctor is in your provider network. Double click and double check and make sure the doctor says the same thing. Check that they're in network, that a current contract is done. Also see if the doctor works for a hospital. If so, the hospital may bill you hundreds in facility fees, even if the office is miles away. In addition, you have to cover a high deductible. You may be better off paying cash up front, especially if your doctor offers a discount for doing so. Jan and I have done that for years. We don't put anything to our insurance company just because it's just too expensive. We never hit our deductible, so we just pay cash, and a lot cheaper. And I mean a lot cheaper. Always tailor your visit to specifying the services you want. Never ask for a routine checkup. Once you're there, if the doctor doesn't like the sound of a random cough or a funky heartbeat, what's a funky heartbeat? I like funk. She may want to examine you, and at that point, the cost meter starts running. If the doctor is about to start a problem-focused evaluation beyond your covered preventative care, ask whether the evaluation needs to be done immediately and how much the extra attention might cost. You may want to shop around for a qualified doctor with lower fees. So all really, really good information. And the Affordable Care Act has changed nothing about that. So, the pocketbook was introduced about 1510 by the Italian publisher Aldus Mantuas. Tiny enough to be carried in the pocket, it usually contained religious matter, mathematical tables, and other useful information. Later publishers included blank pages in the pocketbook so the merchants could jot down important records. Late in the 17th century, bankers devised a new kind of money, printed forms promising a certain amount of gold to the bearer. Holders could not afford to trust such valuable pieces of paper into a pouch or a wallet. It was wiser to place them between the pages of the pocketbook. This became so popular that a craftsman developed a new money holder similar to the pocketbook, but empty of its leaves. Though the size and shape has changed, the name pocketbook still clings. Interesting. Things that make you go, I like men who have a future and women who have a past. Oscar Wilde. Once conform, once do what others do because they do it, and a kind of lethargy steals over all the finer senses of the soul. We always like those who admire us. We do not always like those who we admire. He who is outside his door already has the hard part of his journey behind him. Some people are so fond of ill luck that they run halfway to meet it. Yeah. All right. A black hole in the Perseus Galaxy. I don't know how this relates to anything, but I'll read it anyway. A black hole in the Perseus Galaxy cluster, about 250 million light years from Earth, emits sound waves with a frequency of about 10 million years, making them the lowest notes in the universe. The sound, this will for any musicians, the sound, a B flat, 57 octaves lower than a middle C, I can't even put my head around that one, is generally considered to be a cheerful one, although it cannot be heard by the human ear. 57 octaves, I don't know, I just can't do that. Can't do that. Okay, more t-shirts. Sorry, Mom. This isn't too bad, but never hold your farts in. They travel up your spine into your brain, and that is where crappy ideas come from. There you go. I'm okay, wasn't it, Jan? Am I okay with that one? So, okay. Hey. Caution, I flunked anger management and Caution, I flunked anger management on my shirt. So, yeah, okay, got it. Never put off until tomorrow what you can put off until the day after tomorrow. I don't have this one circled just like I didn't have that other one circled. I just have kind of marks by it. So I'll do it anyway. I have learned that pleasing everyone is impossible, but pissing everybody off is easy and fun. Okay. See, those weren't too bad, huh? I'm still not getting any response back there. No response. Okay. Yep. A Sunday school teacher asked her children as they were on the way to church service, "And why is it necessary to be quiet in church?" One bright little girl replied, "Because people are sleeping." Of course. Oh, an older gentleman on the operating table. This was good. Awaiting surgery, and he insisted that his son, a renowned surgeon, perform the operation. As he was about to get the anesthesia, he asked to speak to his son. Yes, Dad, what is it? Don't be nervous, son. This is great for Father's Day. Do your best, and just remember, if it doesn't go well, if something happens to me, your mother is going to come and live with you and your wife. I like it. I like it. That's encouragement. That's encouragement. Okay, I know we've got these here. There we are. I was going to play a song that I could not find the words for, so some enlightened individual, thank you, Tracy, reminded me, hey, go on YouTube. You'll probably find it there. And she was right. So we're going to sing, as soon as it comes up here, In Your Father's Eyes. Eric Clapton. So, good guess, people. You're here. Well, we're thanking Sandra and William. Thank you so much for taking care of the library for us. Anybody you know, we have a library in the back, and they take care of it, so thank you so much. Appreciate that.
And thank you for those who return their books, so others can enjoy them. Okay. Gosh, Father's Day, Father's Day, Father's Day. So much to share. What you're looking at is surrender. I have my way of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say, and that's not the energy that I'm being drawn towards, so just give me a second here. I tend to resist and struggle. Not that you would. I just get to wait to do it publicly. I couldn't have done it to me 2 seconds ago when I was in the back thinking things through. No, I do it right now. Okay. So speaking of surrender, we've been talking over the last few weeks about stepping out of autopilot and into your life. And when we're in autopilot, we usually run in autopilot because things aren't quite the way we would like them to be. We're not as spiritually fulfilled as we would like to be. So we tend to run in autopilot. And autopilot looks like work, 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 come home, eat dinner, watch TV, play video games, do work around the house, do chores, go to bed, start the next day, do the same thing again. And no thinking is required. No emotional change is required. No challenge to the status quo is required. And there's peace in that, in some measure, but it's not a peace that is sustainable. Eventually, life happens, and we get to take a look at life. So when we step out of that autopilot, we can either do it willingly, or life can come along and go, bam! You're not in autopilot anymore, because you got to deal with something. Hate when that happens. So when we step out of autopilot, the first thing we do is we check around. We check things out. How is my life running? What's going on here? We do a survey, an inventory. This is okay, this is not okay. This is okay, this is not okay. Things that are okay, okay. Things that are not okay, we have choice about. Autopilot does not grant us any choice. The first gift God gave humanity was the gift of choice. You can eat this or you don't. Choice. First gift. It's your first gift. When we don't choose and we let life happen to us, we're cheating ourselves out of life because it is our first gift. So take that gift. So here's the gift. Here's a situation I don't care for. The choice is do something about it or let it go. And the key is discerning what stuff I can let go and what stuff I need to do something with. Because we usually tend, speaking for myself, I tend to try to do God's job. I'm going to fix that. Well, that's not yours to fix. And then the things that I could work on myself, my attitude, action that I can take, I expect God to do that part. So we have things reversed a little bit. So when I can discern, okay, this is my part and this is God's part. When, by God's part, I mean, I told you the story about the trailer in our backyard, or the next door neighbor's backyard. I have this backyard Phil and I worked really, really hard on. My parents before us worked really, really hard on. This beautiful, beautiful backyard. And the neighbor had her son, their son, had a divorce. And so he parked this big white trailer there. So as you scan this beautiful backyard, boom, is this big white trailer. I can't do anything about that. So that's a God thing. So I'm loving it out of existence. I'm blessing the heck out of that guy. I'm hoping his world is so wonderful that he gets to move away from that and take it with him. I'm just loving it out of existence. I told you about the car that some guy would park 4 o'clock in the morning. His car was facing the fence right behind my bedroom window. And he'd gun his motor at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it drove me crazy. I was so angry about that. And until I finally realized, you know what? There, but for the grace of God, go I. I started blessing the heck out of him. And it wasn't but just a little while later that I realized I was sleeping through the night. He had either gotten a better car, or he'd gotten a better job, or he'd gotten a better place to live. Anything, I just blessed the heck out of him and blessed that out of existence. I just loved it out of existence. So that's one of the choices that we have for things that happen in our life. Just bless them out of existence. And for those things that we can't, we can learn the process of spiritual surrender. Now, surrender is not giving up. It's giving in. It's like, okay, there's that big white trailer. It gets to be there. That's their choice. And I get to be okay with it. I get to put myself in a state of surrender about that. I'm still praying about it. I'm still blessing about it. But I have let go of that inner struggle. That inner struggle robs me of my life, of my faith, of my hope, of my peace, my patience. Who needs that? So then, as we're moving along in the steps in taking back our life, stepping into our life fully, we come to a place where we get to set clear boundaries. And the reason this is appropriate on Father's Day is the energy of Father is safety. Our fathers, our physical fathers, are here to catch us when we fall, to pick us up, dust us off, say, you're okay, you can do it again. Did your dad help you learn to ride your bicycle? My dad did. My dad taught me how to swing a hammer. There's all kinds of stuff our dads teach us. Moms help nurture us, bring us nurturing energy. And dads help support us and give us the courage to try. Bless their little hearts. Sometimes our physical father falls short of what we spiritually need or we emotionally need. And that's when we can rely upon the spiritual father. And here's what I want you to know about that. 1 Peter 5:7. Casting all your anxiety upon him because he cares for you. Whatever your physical father was like, that's our first glimpse of what the spiritual father, divine source, is like for us. And it doesn't matter, right, wrong, good, or bad, how well they did or how well they didn't do. Because as a human adult, you're in the process, I'm in the process, we're in the process of recognizing that there is this divine source of love that cares for us. Doesn't matter if we skinned our knee because we were disobeying and did something stupid and jumped off the roof. Daddy's going to be there to pick us up and take us to the doctor if we need to, whatever. That's, the spiritual father is here to assist us and support us. So the energy of Father's Day, the energy of a father, the spiritual energy, is creating clear boundaries because boundaries help us feel safe. Boundaries are like skin. Skin is the boundary between the gushy, wet stuff inside and the outside. And when a boundary has been breached, it doesn't feel so good and the squishy stuff leaks out. It's not fun. Same thing with spiritual boundaries and emotional boundaries. When a boundary's been breached, loving, wonderful stuff leaks out and it hurts. It doesn't feel good. So how do we set boundaries? Boundaries are this wonderful thing that keep us safe. But it's hard. It's hard, especially when you've never had to do that. You can choose to do the easy way, make a choice about it, or you can choose to wait until you're smacked in the face with it. Your choice. You can do it easy or you can do it hard. But I guarantee you, in your life, there will be situations where you will be required to create boundaries for yourself. And you'll be required to discern boundaries from other people and clear boundaries between the two of you. Sometimes other people are not really good at setting clear boundaries. Sometimes other people aren't really good at communicating. Oh, this is a boundary. My skin is here. You're over there. That's fine. Don't hit me with that razor. People aren't good at that. We're not taught how to do that. We're taught to just whine. Aren't we taught to whine? I don't like that. Well, okay, I get that. So before the next time it happens, set a clear boundary. Because here's the deal. I have so much to tell you about this. Blah, blah, blah. Not all that's relevant. Proverbs 8:29. When he set a sea for the sea its boundary, so the water should not transgress its command. Even the sea has a boundary. And what happens when we have a tidal wave? Disaster. What happens when we don't have a boundary? Disaster. Because watch over your heart with all diligence. This is Proverbs 4:23. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. It's my responsibility to make sure my heart is safe. That's not your job. And it's important for you to trust me to tell you when a boundary, here's my boundary. And if I don't tell you where that boundary is and you step over that boundary, it's my responsibility to make that clear. Can I clear something up with you? Here's what I really wanted to see happen and that didn't happen. I don't have to be hateful or hurtful about it. See, we get that confused. We think setting a boundary is, this is my way, and thou shalt not step over it. Now, is that working for you? Do not move the ancient boundary or go into the fields of the fatherless. For their Redeemer is strong, and he will plead their case against you. Apply your hearts to discipline and your ears to words of knowledge. Think about it. Listen. Pay attention. Pay attention. And pay attention when a boundary is breached. How do you know when a boundary is breached? You feel yucky. Yucky, yucky, yucky. Yucky. Like a city that is broken into and without walls is a man who has no control over his spirit. It's not my job to make your world okay. It's It's not your job to make my world okay. That's my job, to make my world okay. And how do you set a boundary? Oh my gosh, this is the hardest thing. I grew up in a household where it was yes sir, no sir. Yes ma'am, no ma'am. Anybody else grew up like that? Maybe not, I don't know. Because if you didn't, there was smacking to be involved. So you just did what you were told. And it wasn't appropriate to say, I'm uncomfortable with that. I want you to repeat those words after me. I'm uncomfortable with that. There's no hatred. There's no anger. There's no hostility. But you can feel very safe behind those words. Words help you be safe. Now, here's the problem, is I have to recognize when I get uncomfortable. When I first started working on this person that's within this skin, the skin I'm in, it would take me 3 days. And I go, I don't feel very good. What's wrong with me? Oh, no. Well, what happened yesterday? I don't know. What happened the day before? I don't know. Oh, remember when so-and-so did this or said that? That was not okay with me. Well, it's been 3 days. And I'm finally picking it up. You know what? The only way to clear that for myself was to go back to that person and say, when this happened, I was really uncomfortable with that. Whenever I try to say, you're wrong, I'm right, you screwed up, that hurt my feelings, it's your fault, my feelings are hurt, then I breached their boundary. They would get upset. They would get hurt. Well, that's counterproductive. So how do you set a clear boundary? First of all, you got to know what's right for you and what's not right for you. If you don't know what's right for you, nobody else can. So what's okay with you and what's not okay with you? Figure it out. Figure it out. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Trial and error. You have your senses trained to discern good and evil. Because you open yourself to being out of that autopilot, dropping back into your life, and then maybe it takes 3 days, but you'll recognize when things are not okay. And soon it gets a little quicker, you're a little quicker on the uptake, and then soon it's like, oh my gosh, right away, I know that that's not an okay thing for me. Okay, so here, let me give you some hints on how to set a clear boundary. Because without a clear boundary, you can't feel safe. Without feeling safe, you can't trust. Without trusting, you can't really love. It's important. This is big stuff. Big stuff. John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Chapter 8, verse 32. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. This one says shall make you free, or set you free, either way, depending on your version. So what's your truth? Again, you got to know what's going on inside of you, what's okay with you. I've got to know me. Being an autopilot robs me of that. Being in my life, it's painful. Because, I'm not okay with that. I'm uncomfortable with that. See, I love that I'm uncomfortable with that. Because for those of us who have never had to set clear boundaries before, saying no is impossible. Not happening. Not coming out of this mouth. I'd really rather not have that happen. What I'd like to see happen here is this. I'm giving you hints here. Try them. They work. What I'd really like to do, what would work for me would be those set clear boundaries. Really clear boundaries. There's two kinds of boundaries here. Boundaries that we set now, clearly in a situation, and boundaries we have to come back and reset. Okay, that's part of the issue. When you know your truth, when you know what works for you, what's right and wrong, good and bad, not that there's a right and wrong, good and bad, but what's comfortable for you at this point in time. When you can know that, then you can have this clear boundary and speak your truth. When we speak our truth, it's not energetically charged. If I'm speaking a judgment, you're wrong, and you hurt my feelings, and you're a bad person, I'm in judgment. There's energetically charged there. But to say, I'm uncomfortable with that, that's my truth. It's very clear. It's very powerful. and it's not energetically charged. The other person probably will not react to that. Or if they do, it gets to be okay, because then that's a God thing and that's not a Janice thing. Does that make sense? Okay, so now then there's the other half of the coin. Somebody else who either sets an improper boundary or doesn't set one at all. How do we handle that? How do we handle that? Haven't you experienced it? And you're walking around on eggshells? You don't feel safe. Boundaries create safety. Boundaries for yourself create safety for the person dealing with you, and they create safety for you. Robbing someone of a boundary makes them uncomfortable, and we don't have a right to do that. We're robbing them from being in their life. They may slip into autopilot. And you know what happens when people get in autopilot? We react. Buttons get pushed. Lightning. Bonfires. It's crazy stuff. So if you're dealing with somebody who doesn't have clear boundaries, it's real important to address that. It's really, because that will make them feel safe, and that makes you feel safe. Without a clear boundary, there's no trust. Without trust, there's no love. Because there can't be respect. Without respect, there's no love. You can have affection, but without trust and respect, you can't have love. So having clear boundaries is extremely important for being in your own life and being effective in your own life. So know yourself, know your truth. What's my truth? Okay, so my truth is that this is okay for me. You got upset about that. Okay, so let's clarify. You were obviously upset about that. So there was a boundary here that I stepped over. What is that boundary again? Would you clarify that for me? How is that hurtful? Oh, you should just know. You know, maybe I should, but I don't. Would you clarify that for me? Broken record. They may not know how to tell you. That's the hard part, because they don't know their truth. They won't know their truth until you've stepped on that boundary, and then they go, whoa, that's not okay with me. Oh, okay. So when you bring them this clarity, you're giving them their truth. How beautiful is that? You're helping them awaken to their own truth. And when they can awaken to their own truth, then they're free. They're free to be the people they're really, really meant to be. So I obviously stepped on this boundary. I don't understand what happened. Can you help me understand that? If they can't, they can't. You can say, well, it feels like to me that what you really wanted me to do was blah, blah, blah. Is that true? Is that correct? Am I correct in that? If they can't, they can't. If they can't get there, they can't get there. That's when we pray about it. We ask for divine intervention, because this is not something you can fix. This is not something I can fix. That's their stuff. But by addressing it, you've made yourself safe. It's all about safety. And that's the energy of this father energy. So whether you have a physical father that taught you how to feel safe or not, this is that masculine father, adult parent energy that once we become adults, we claim for ourselves. We no longer need daddy to take care of us, protect us. Wouldn't it be nice? That is nurtured within. We have that power within so that we can find that safety. Now, I probably haven't answered all your questions about that. My job is to monkey with your mind to make you go, I never thought of that. Or I thought of that, but I didn't think it that way. And that gets you to thinking. Because when you're thinking, you're not an autopilot. And when you're not an autopilot, you're in your own life. And you're living in your life. So let's do a brief guided meditation, shall we?